Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Welcome. And this season now, as people are going up and down, doing several things, traveling, and it's very easy for us to miss the point of this season, and especially today's passage, because this passage is not your typical Christmas message, but it's a message that helps us to remember. It helps us to remember why we serve God and our attitude in serving God. When I think about Christmas, I think my thoughts of Christmas are not different from many people. Time for celebration, time for family reunions and homecomings. But today's message is really different, because it is about having a sense of conviction in our beliefs, in our understanding of who God is and what He's capable of doing. And my prayer is that through this message we can really learn the faith of these three young men, and we can, in the spirit of Christmas as well, think about Jesus Christ, who now comes to us and stands with us in the furnaces of our lives. Part one is worship of the image, and it is drawn from verse 1 to 17. Look at verse 1 to 3. Let's read together. Let's go. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, 90 feet high and 90 feet wide, and set it out of the plain of Dura and the plains of Dura. He then summoned the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the other provincial officials, around to the dedication of the image and set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the other provincial officials assembled for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar set up and made before it. Amen. So last week, Missionary David delivered a moving message about the dream that King Nebuchadnezzar had, and which Daniel and the three exiled brothers had helped to explain. So in that dream, Nebuchadnezzar saw this huge image, and this huge image had different facets. It had a head of gold, it had a chest of silver, it had feet of clay. And in that dream, Daniel saying to Nebuchadnezzar that dream was really the future of Babylon and the subsequent kingdoms that would come, and eventually the kingdoms that would be destroyed. So in this chapter, chapter 3, it's really a continuation of Daniel's life in the royal court. And after receiving that dream, King Nebuchadnezzar now goes ahead to establish his own image, maybe to demonstrate that his reign and authority would never end, in sharp contrast to what the dream had said. So Nebuchadnezzar now goes ahead to build and to construct a huge statue made of gold to demonstrate the unending power of his kingdom of Babylon. So how could he do this? He needed something that was monumental, something that would stick in the minds of the people. So he built this huge image of God Here the Bible says it was 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. Very huge structure. And to make sure that everybody from everywhere could see it, he put it on the plain of Dura. And he summoned everybody, all the dignitaries, all the officials of all categories, to come from all around Babylon to come and worship, or to come and bow to this image. So they are coming to Babylon, they are coming to worship this image was their act of allegiance. Anybody who never came was either considered a traitor or something of that sort. But everybody was, or had to come, as long as they had some official office that they were holding. So people came from all over the kingdom, and they came to worship this image. When I thought about this image, I thought about, this image was very geographical because people had to move from one part of the kingdom to come to a specific plane to worship this image. And I thought about our images today. Our images today are not that, they're not that geographically localized. Our images are around us. They are everywhere around us. We don't have to travel all the way to the plains of Dura to see or to bow to our images. Our images are in our pockets, they're in our wallets, they're in our houses. The images that the things that describe who we are all around us every other day. And this was just a thought that I had as I saw this massive movement of people all the way from the countryside to come to Dura to worship and to bow to this image. And our images today we are dependent on them much less than the people then, because unlike them, our images, our lives depend on our images. The people who came all the way from the countryside to worship the images, they were doing it out of civic duty. They were doing it because King Nebuchadnezzar asked them. So it is very easy to say that many people came without coming to worship those images necessarily, but they came because if they didn't, there was a certain punishment for those who didn't. In our time here, our images, because of the character which they are, we depend on them. We depend on them. And they have become our idols in our age of secularism and humanism. So, as we are looking at this passage, we need to contrast it very clearly with our own experiences today. We can look at these people and wonder, how could they have moved all the way wherever they were to go to Dura and worship these idols and worship this image, and how sad they must have been. But actually, if you think about it seriously, our own images today are even more complex. They're even more around us today, and we even give them much more power over us as opposed to the people at that time. Anyhow, in this passage, the people gathered, all these officials came from all around the kingdom, and verse 46 says there was people from every nation and every language came. And they were given an instruction that as you hear the horn, or as you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the lyre, the harp, the pipes, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship this idol that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace. So this was what these people were supposed to do, to worship this idol, regardless of what they were thinking about. This command also is a clear consequence of their obedience. Nebuchadnezzar regarded that anybody who refused to worship this particular idol was in fact committing a religious offense and committing treason as well. And in verse 7 we can see that as soon as the people heard the sound of the horn and all these instruments, all people, all nations, men from every language, they fell down and worshipped the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. You know, the book of Daniel is a prophetic book because it helps us to see very many things that are going to happen in the future. And every time we think about the end times and how the end of the age is going to unfold, one of the things that comes on again and again is how the world system, people from every language, every people, every nation, and every culture congregate in one place and worship this graven image. So when we think about this, we can think about what is going to happen in the near future at the end of the age, when people bow down to technology, people bow down to certain gods, people bow down to certain gods that they sometimes even do not stop to ever think about. The gods of money, the gods of fame, the gods of drugs, and all that. So in this particular case, all these people, all these officials, all these people from different parts of the Babylon, they came, and as the music played, and when they heard the music, they all bowed down and worshipped this graven image. What do you think when you observe this scene? All people bowing down to a graven image that they all know that Nebuchadnezzar created himself. Some of them bow down because of fear and because many of these people were officials, some were judges, magistrates. Many of them could have bowed down because they wanted to protect their job. Others could have bowed down because they feared the consequences of not bowing down, which was to be burnt in the furnace. But they bow down all the same. And this scene or this event is really an illustration of what happens when as men and women lose their sense of direction and spiritual identity. Some of them, when they bow down, when they asked to bow down, they did not consider it a spiritual issue. They just thought, well, it's just bowing down. But bowing down was showing that they were subjecting themselves to this idol, to this image. Even us, sometimes we think, it is just bowing down. There's nothing to it. If I just bow down, then the next moment I'll be standing up. You know, when Jesus was in the wilderness, the devil came and asked him to bow down. And everything, all the kingdom of the earth will be given to him. Sounds very simple. But bowing down is actually subjecting ourselves to the authority of this idol. Subjecting ourselves to the authority of this image. So it's not some easy thing or some obvious gesture, but it's a deliberate thing that if we do, we surrender ourselves to this image. So when we think about our lives today, we can imagine how many times we bow down to things that we see. Sometimes we don't even know what we're bowing down to, but we are already bowing down. In our workplace, for instance, when everybody is doing certain things, we also fall into line, bowing down. In our homes as well, in our professions, in our discipleship-making ministry, we are very vulnerable to bow down simply because it's the easy option to do. And in verse 8 to 12, some people came to Nebuchadnezzar and said, hey, in verse 12, there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up. So these people reported very quickly to the king. They must have been observing these three exiles and their lifestyle. Maybe out of jealousy or out of conceit, they decided to report them about their behavior, that they were not bowing down like everybody else was. So bowing down, even when we do not bow down, there are people who are already on the lookout to ensure that everybody is doing what everybody is supposed to do. For instance, in the workplace, if you're not corrupt, then you're singled out as the one who spoils everybody's game. And in this particular case, these Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego were pointed out and isolated and identified as those who were not doing what everybody was meant to do. We can learn several lessons from these three young men. The first one is that they refused. They refused to worship or to bow down to the idols. Who were these three men? We have not, this is not the first time we're meeting these three men. These three men were from Daniel chapter 1, we saw how they were chosen to serve in the king's court. They were of royal birth. They were very capable men. They were very well trained. They had a lot of potential. And also they were very well physically built. So they had everything going for them. And it's no wonder that King Nebuchadnezzar chose them and wanted to raise them as a new crop of leaders for Babylon. They were given very special training in the king's court as well. And at the end of chapter 2, we see that even after they helped to explain Nebuchadnezzar's dream, they were elevated. They were given some authority to govern over some areas. But they still remain Jews. They still remain having their identity as God's chosen people in spite of their exile situation. And in this case here, they refused. They refused to bow down to this image that had been made by King Nebuchadnezzar. They must have remembered Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 and 5, which says, "You shall not make yourselves an image in the form of anything in heaven or on earth. You shall not bow down to them and worship them." Yes, they were in exile, but God's law was still burning very brightly in their hearts. It's possible that they could have studied God's word very deeply and accepted this truth in spite of the exile. In the New Testament, we also see similar examples in the lives of Paul and John when they were in their chains in the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 4, verse 19, it says, "Which is right in God's eyes, to listen to you or to God. So because of this deep conviction, they were able to stand firm and to refuse to bow down to this graven image. Is it easy to maintain your faith in that environment? No, it is not. Especially if everybody seems to be doing that which you're standing up against. It's not very easy. Shadrach Mike told me a story about her time in Korea. And I think in Korean culture, when your professor or your elder or your leader gives you something, you're supposed to take it without asking any questions. In this particular case, their professor used to take them out for drinks every Friday evening. And all the students, professor used to pour for them the alcohol. And all the students, even if they didn't like it, they had to take it. And you can think that as a culture, but you can also think that as a spiritual choice. And she shared and saying that she had to resist this very many times. And eventually, she won this small battle. But all around us, every time as we are walking in this world, we are faced with those choices. How do we conform? How do we conform to what's happening around us? Or how do we stand up to our values? And how to stand in those situations has a huge bearing on how much of God, or how much of God's word we have in our hearts. Today, many people fall victim, especially at the campus, they fall victim to peer pressure and innocently find themselves victims of drugs or substance abuse or alcohol, even sexual immorality, and all manner of things. And then you ask yourself, how did they fall victim to this? Because we cannot say no. You know, to say no is not easy, especially when all people around us seem to be doing that thing and they seem to be thriving and doing well. So from this man we can see the power of saying no or just refusing. It was not easy for them to say no. When everybody in the kingdom was bowing down, all the magistrates and satraps and judges and leaders were bowing down to this image. But just three young men, they refused to do so. It's not easy. Then the second thing was their decision or their action was not hidden. You know, sometimes it's very easy to hide. You have your convictions and the things that you stand for, but nobody knows about them because you are hiding them. And nobody knows what you stand for. Nobody knows your value system. I can see Shadrach, but I do not know what it stands for. In our workplaces, people do not know that you are not corrupted. They know that you just can't stand it, but if you're given the right push, you'll do it. And because they do not know what you stand for, they always bring those things your way. They always pass them your way. And in this particular case, these young men, what they stood for was evident for all to see. You didn't have to guess to know what they stood for. You knew what they stood for. Because their demonstration of what they stood for was publicly known. Charles Spurgeon once said that there's a feeling among some people that it is wise to just hide not to be seen, not to ruffle the feathers. Somehow just do it and nobody should know. And the way Charles Spurgeon says is that some people think they can get through heaven through like the back door, through the small doors at the back. They can sneak into glory in disguise. But I think this is very true, that we need to wear our values on our sleeve so that the people know what we stand for and they know what we believe. These men could have easily bowed down or have easily not showed up. They would have stayed in their homes. But they actually went on the plains of Dura and they just refused to bow down. It was very easy for them to remain at home. Then they looked for them and not find them. But they went where the issue was and they did not bow down. So I think here we can learn something from them. That we need to show what we believe. We need to demonstrate what we believe through our lifestyle, through our choices, through the clear evidence of the way we handle ourselves. Let there be no doubt as to what we believe in and what we do not believe in. What we stand for and what we do not stand for. So these men here, it was not very hard for their accusers to find them because they were obviously there because of what they believed. And the third thing was they stood by their decision. Now, in verses 13 to 15, when Nebuchadnezzar gets told that these men have refused, he summons them. Bring me those boys. So they brought the boys, and the boys stood before Nebuchadnezzar. And I don't know, has anybody here stood before, like, the president? If you stand before the president, nobody will forget what you stand for. And it's the way in which Nebuchadnezzar asked. His first words in chapter 13 were, is it true? Is it true? Because he wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. He knew he had invested in these boys. He had selected them, he had trained them. So he didn't want to depend on any hearsay or any accusation that was being brought against them. Every time somebody asks you, is it true? It challenges you to the core. It speaks to your convictions and you start to ask, am I really standing for what is right? Because these boys had been raised by him. He couldn't believe that now, at the right time, when he needs them to show allegiance to him, they are dishonoring him. They had been raised and promoted as governors. How ungrateful. Is it true? This is a very, very difficult question to answer. I can relate it to when Peter, the apostle, when he said to Jesus that I cannot deny you anything. And then this young servant girl comes and challenges him, just a small girl. You were with Jesus. And we know what Peter said. It is very easy for us to throw away all our convictions once we are put in the spotlight and we are asked this brief question. Is it true? Because what Nebuchadnezzar was trying to get at was to try to shake their faith about and their convictions about what they were doing. Sometimes when we ask this question, is it true? We give very vague answers. Even in the workplace, if you ask somebody, are you a Christian? They will first give you an essay. They cannot very clearly say yes. Are you born again or are you a Bible teacher? Because you know your lifestyle. Your lifestyle and what you say do not add up. So you struggle to answer that question. And if you observe the environment was also very, very the environment was very threatening. You've got the king there, you've got the very hot furnace there, you've got all of Israel's, Babylon's leaders worshipping. It was very easy for them to say, actually, it is not true. We can also go and worship the image. Yet, what we see from their reaction later on is that they were very, very convicted, even as they stood before King Nebuchadnezzar. These boys knew that their fate was not in Nebuchadnezzar's hands, but rather in God's hands. So this built their faith. That even when they were standing before Nebuchadnezzar, they knew why they were there. So neither Nebuchadnezzar threats or any other word that he spoke to them could shake them. I think this is something we need to learn as well. How deep are the roots of our faith? Because sometimes our faith just takes a small shockwave and all the roots come up. Even after we have studied the Bible for so many years, it just takes a very small knock and we lose it. And we forget everything that we have studied for so many years. If we are in a situation where they ask us, is it true? We lose everything and we just conform and collapse. So these young men encourage us that even in this environment, is it true? We can stand firm because of our convictions and because of our identity in Christ Jesus. Amen. Then the last thing is they made a resolution. Look at verse 16 to 18. This is our keepers. Let's us read it together. Let's go. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego replied to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need you to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the Lord himself is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from the hand of the king. But even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship images or hold you for yourself." Amen. Yeah, these verses are really a very deep source of encouragement. And in my opinion, they reflect the amount of spiritual growth that these young men have. How do they respond like this? Especially in verse 17. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it. And he will rescue us from your hand, okay? Right there in verse 17, you can see they have resurrection faith. Then in verse 18, but even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve the gods or worship the image of God you have set up. Right there is God's sovereignty. So I think these men have really reached a point in their lives where they know what God is capable of. They know that they stand in front of the king, not because of the king's wanting, but because of God's timing. Exodus chapter 15 verse 2 says, "The Lord is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him, my Father's God, and I will exalt him." This is the deep-seated conviction that they had. They knew that in spite of what's happening to them, God was their defense. That God was their salvation. I also suspect they must have had Bible study in the book of Romans, because Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose." So this word shows us that these Jewish men had a good understanding and appreciation of who God is. They knew God's power. But they also knew that they must do what is right, even if God did not do what they expect or hope him to do. They did not doubt God's ability to save, but they entrusted themselves fully to God. They did not presume that they knew God's way. They entrusted themselves fully to God. Their prayer is no different from Jesus' prayer in Gethsemane about God's will. You know, God's will sometimes is on a tangent from our will. And sometimes we think that God is with us or for us only when he does things that we think he should ought to do. But from their response, you can see there's a high level of spiritual maturity. That even if God does not come to our rescue, even if God does not come to our rescue in the way we think he should come, we will not serve your God or worship the image. I think this is very deeply mature for us to think about. To what extent do we think, or what are the signals that show us that God is with us, or that we are doing God's will, or that we are in God's will? It's very hard to tell, because sometimes we do things, but it's very hard for us to understand the mind of God. Because there are very many people who, in the early church, who got burnt in different furnaces, who got eaten by lions, and one would say, why didn't God save them? But if we see from God's side, then we can open our hearts to whatever God does. Glory be to his name. Whatever God says, glory be to his name. It might not be what we want to hear. It might not be where we want to go. But open ourselves to allow God to work in the way he wants to work, in the manner he says best. And that's, I think, the way these boys, like even if they stood before Nebuchadnezzar, their fear was not about the heat from the furnace or being destroyed in the furnace, but rather their bigger fear was bowing down. Bowing down to the image was more serious to them than the flames of the fire. And that is where we see the difference. Many times our eyes are on the fire, and we forget the even more important matter of bowing down. Because bowing down looks very easy. You just bow down. Thousands of people bow down without thinking about it, without giving it a thought. But in the boy's eyes, that was more serious than the flame. So So from their response, we can see their value system. The bigger test to them was bowing down. That's why they say, "O King, even if he does not, we want you to know that we will not serve your gods and worship the image of God that you have set up." Let's think about our lives now, today, here. Where are the sources of our fear? What are the things that we are most fearful about? And the things that shake our faith? There are very many. It can be disease, it can be relationships, it can be money, it can be Bible students, it can be our sense of loss for years wasted. It can be so many things. But the most serious thing is the state of our heart. Because in there, we can't reclaim. Once we lose that, we lose everything. So that even if we went to the flame and we have lost it, we are still lost. So it is something for us to consider. Because unless we consider and have the balance to know what is most important, we lose out on God's being the privilege. Job chapter 13 verse 15, we all know Job. Job lost everything. His house, his wealth, his children, everything. But there are words that he said in John chapter 13 verse 15, he said, "Though he slay me, yet I will trust him." That's the kind of attitude that we have. And even if it doesn't appear that God is working on our behalf, he still remains God. And if we recognize that, we are full of joy. We can stand before Nebuchadnezzar and witness to him and share with him. So, when we think about these men, we can think about their test of faith and how they could withstand and stand again in the midst of their challenges. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego show us that obedience to God is really the most important thing besides everything else. And we can see in verse 19 to 27, Nebuchadnezzar got so mad because he saw in them deep conviction, deep ideals. Nebuchadnezzar had tried to change their names, tried to forget who they were, tried to erase their identity. But when they stood before him, they stood before him as if they had just come from exile yesterday. Their faith was still as sharp as it was from the day they went into exile. So nothing in Babylon had touched their lives. And that's what made Nebuchadnezzar so mad. All the investment he had poured into these young men, all the power he had given them, had come to nothing. So he commanded that they be thrown into the deepest furnace, and Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego were put in the furnace thereafter. So, one thing we can learn from this passage is that all our trials, all our furnaces, the main point is to bring us to Jesus. Because even when they were in that furnace, in verse, I think it's verse Verse 25. King Nebuchadnezzar himself, he said, "See, I see 4 men walking around the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like the Son of God." So even when they were in the fire, Jesus was with them in the fire. This is the main point of this story. That Jesus stands with us in the midst of the furnace. We go to the furnace fearful, anxious for our lives. But if we know that Jesus is with us in the furnace, we receive a lot of comfort, a lot of grace. Because in this story, Jesus stood with them in the furnace. And here the Bible says all the ropes that they tied around them just fell off because they had Jesus with them in the furnace. Do you see Jesus in your furnace? First of all, do you have a furnace? Because a furnace is not some simple trial. A furnace is a furnace. A furnace is hot. Nobody wants to go to a furnace. The furnace is something that consumes your life completely and destroys you entirely. And until we can see Jesus in the midst of that furnace with us, we are discouraged and hopeless. This furnace was very hot because even the men who put them in the furnace died. Can you imagine? The men who put them in the furnace. How hot was that furnace? It was very hot. But in that heat of the furnace, they were like singing, rejoicing, thanking God for what He had done. And their ropes were just falling off. And later on when we see, when they came out, even their clothes were not smelling of smoke. That's how useless the furnace was. Because Jesus was with them in the furnace. Paul and Silas in Acts chapter 16 were in the furnace in jail. And they were just singing, full of praise. And their chains fell off. Now, like I said before, we have several furnaces, several events and experiences that we go through, and some of them are very troubling and very difficult. Sometimes we are aware that Jesus is there. Sometimes Jesus doesn't feel like Jesus is around anywhere at all. But He's there nonetheless. He is there nonetheless. And how can you know that Jesus is in the furnace with you? How can you know that Jesus is standing with you amidst that trial or amidst that issue? There are many ways, but I think the most important way is you have a sense of peace. You have a sense of peace that even though you're in the furnace, Jesus is there with you. It is well. So, remember we are in the Old Testament. Jesus has not yet come. But these men experienced Jesus before even He came in the way they think He came. They experienced the power of God when they stood their ground and when they witnessed very clearly about their convictions. Jesus says, do not be worried of the world. Behold, I have overcome the world. This should give us a lot of encouragement in the different furnaces of our lives. The fourth man is Jesus Christ. Jesus is always walking with us in our different furnaces, in our different experiences. This should give us confidence and trust and hope. Even when we're tried and tempted and shaken and prodded, we should never doubt this, because Jesus is always there. Isaiah chapter 43 says, but now says the Lord, O Jacob, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. This is what every one of us needs to have in our hearts, that Jesus is always there in the heat of our furnace. Now it's very easy for us to say. It's very easy for you to say that Jesus is in the furnace, but he actually is, to the extent to which you allow him to be. This is the Son of God in the furnace in Babylon. He is also with us in the furnaces of our lives. When the whole world is going one direction, worshiping the idol, falling down, the church remains a very small remnant. Can you imagine the church at that time was just 3 boys? 3 boys. That was the whole church, as it were. But God used that small remnant to amaze and demonstrate his power. He entered the flames with his small church of believers. And like they say, where 2 or 3 gather in my name, I am there in their midst. Jesus was in their midst. And that fellowship was maintained in that furnace. It's a very, very strong image. 3 boys and Jesus Christ. When they came out, even the smell of fire was not on them. Their clothes were not burnt at all. The Lord had used the fire of the furnace to free them from the ropes that held them. Sometimes furnaces are there to release you, to free you up, because we're bound. And it takes a furnace to untangle those ropes and to make us free. The flames burn away the ropes of our sin that hold us. The sin that so easily entangles us is removed in the midst of that furnace. Bad habits, bad ways, the things that bind us to sin are washed and broken away in the midst of a furnace. Sometimes you find yourself more free in the furnace than you're free outside the furnace. The point here is that the furnace is not an entirely bad thing. The furnace can be God's classroom to teach you to depend on him. And these boys had already passed the score, because they say, even if he does not rescue us, we will not bow down. In one word, the furnace made them whole. Persecution is not especially when we are being persecuted for the wrong reason by the wrong people. But sometimes it's meant to build our faith and to strengthen us and to give us a sense of character and spiritual spine. To stand up for what we stand for. And it is not surprising, verse 28 to 30, when Nebuchadnezzar saw these 4 men in the furnace, these 3 men with Jesus in the furnace, he rejoiced and said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted him and defied the king's command, my command, and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego be cut to pieces and their houses be turned to piles of rubble." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, every time something happened, Nebuchadnezzar sang a song of joy. This was the first time he's singing, by the way. In chapter 2, he also sang when he got the answer to his dream. But the point here is that you can see how even after God has demonstrated his power through these 3 men, that Nebuchadnezzar's heart is so moved that he gives glory to God. And he recognizes the great God, not his God, but the great God of the Jews. We thank God for this year 2018 and for the different furnaces that we have gone through. Some of us here have gone through difficult times, experiences that we do not remember. When is 2018 ending anyway? Because we have been buffeted like a small ship on the sea. But actually, these furnaces showed us a lot about God. They demonstrate to us very many things about who God is and who we are. From this passage, we can see that God is calling us to be prepared. To be prepared for the furnace. The furnace is coming. No one of us can escape the furnace of life. We are going to have to go through different furnaces, different temperatures. But when those furnaces come, how should we react? How should we behave? How should we respond? These 3 precious young men, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, tell us and reveal to us the answer to stand in the midst of our furnace. That Jesus stands with us. That Jesus contends and pleads our case, even in the furnace. And even in the furnace, sometimes we are released from the things that bind us and give a new perspective to our struggle. I pray that God may grant us the grace to go through the furnaces with the grace that these 3 boys showed. And that we can remember Jesus, who shares in all of our furnaces, big and small. He stands with us to give us the victory. Amen. Let us read the key verse. Let's go. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for giving us this word. Thank you for reminding us to stand. And Lord, you stand with us in the midst of our furnaces and in the midst of our trials. Lord, we pray that you will grant us the strength to stand, the conviction to stand, and also the faith, Lord, to remember that you walk with us in the midst of these different furnaces. Thank you, Lord, for Daniel's study and also for showing us how we can withstand our environment, the different pressures we have, pressures to be corrupt, pressures to disobey your word, pressures to walk our own way. We pray that, Lord, we shall learn the things of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. Lord, we can stand and again stand so that we can see and experience the full reward of those who stand with you, or who you stand with in the furnace. We pray that, Lord, you shall bless your word in our hearts and give us a sense of identity, to remember your word, to remember your command, to remember you in all that we do, so that, Lord, when the storms come, when the furnace come, we can stand. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.